My name is Claire Mercer, and I was 35 when a red cloth-bound recipe book left my family with nowhere to hide the truth. My grandmother, Ruth Bennett, turned 82 on the final Sunday of September. She baked 6 small apple pies by herself. Not one large pie for everyone to slice and share, but 6 individual pies, each placed in a white ceramic dish with a blue rim. She rolled the dough early that morning, peeled Honeycrisp apples from the orchard, then added cinnamon, brown sugar, and a touch of nutmeg, exactly the way my grandfather had always liked it. She wiped down the long oak table in the kitchen. She spread out a cream-colored tablecloth. She set 6 plates, 6 forks, 6 glasses of water, and 6 cloth napkins, embroidered with tiny apples in the corners. Then she waited. My mother, Elaine Mercer, was in Charlottesville attending the grand opening of my brother Ryan's newest wine-tasting room. My father, Peter, had gone with her. They said it was an important weekend for Ryan's future. Ryan sent a text at 2:57 that afternoon. "Happy birthday, Grandma. Crazy day. I'll stop by next week." My father sent nothing. At 5:11, my mother posted a photograph of herself standing between oak wine barrels. She wore an ivory dress, held a glass of red wine, and rested one hand on Ryan's arm. The caption read, "Roots are what keep a family standing." I left Richmond after work and drove nearly 3 hours to Cedar Glen through a thin curtain of rain. A bouquet from a gas station rested on the passenger seat. The small bakery cake I had bought because I was afraid Grandma might no longer have the strength to bake for herself slid sideways every time I took a curve. I reached the farm at 14 Apple Hollow Road at 8:32 that night. The porch light was on. The 2-story white farmhouse stood dark behind the rows of apple trees. The moment I opened the kitchen door, I did not need to ask what had happened. 6 apple pies sat on the table. 5 were untouched. A tiny piece had been cut from the 6th. The vanilla ice cream in the bowls had melted into pale puddles. A candle leaned over the pie in the center, burned almost to its metal base. All 6 plates remained in place. Only one chair had been pulled out. Grandma sat at the head of the table, wearing her plum-colored cardigan, both hands wrapped around a cup of cold tea. When she saw me, she smiled. Then she looked past me toward the door, as if she were still waiting for someone else to walk in. "Claire," she said, "you're early." "It's almost 9, Grandma." "9 in the morning?" "At night." She looked at the pies. "Are we having a party?" "It's your birthday." She touched the edge of one ceramic dish. "Did I make these?" "Yes." "For who?" "For us." "Oh." The word was barely more than a breath. I put the flowers in water, cut a piece of pie, and sat beside her. I sang, "Happy Birthday." Halfway through the second line, she raised one finger. "Wait." I stopped. "Did we already sing this?" "We can sing it again. I don't want you to have to do things twice." "I want to." So I started over. Later, I helped her upstairs. She felt much lighter than I remembered. At the bedroom door, she caught my wrist. For one brief second, her eyes became sharp and clear. "They think I don't remember the numbers anymore," she whispered. "Who does?" "The people who are waiting for someone else to forget." "Who are you talking about?" Her hand loosened. She looked at my wet coat. "You're going to catch cold." The next morning, the doorbell rang at 10:05. The first woman introduced herself as Helena Ward. She was in her early 60s, with brown hair streaked with silver and the calm posture of someone accustomed to walking into rooms where people were hiding things. The woman with her was June Alvarez, a retired court clerk who now worked as a mobile notary. Helena carried a black document case. June held Grandma Ruth's red recipe book. The same book Grandma had used for more than 40 years. Its cloth corners had faded. A small, fingerprint-shaped grease stain sat beside the words, "Fall Apple Pie." Ruth Bennett's name was written on the first page in old blue ink. "Are you Claire Mercer?" Helena asked. "Yes. I'm an estate attorney with Ward, Mills, and Porter. Ruth Bennett hired me 14 months ago." Grandma was asleep in a chair near the living room window. I lowered my voice. "What did she hire you for?" "She asked me to contact you when 2 conditions were met. First, written medical confirmation that she could no longer independently manage complex financial decisions. Second, any attempt to sell, mortgage, or transfer property out of the trust that owns this farm." "How did you know someone was trying to sell it?" "A filing package containing a trust termination certificate and a request to transfer ownership was submitted to the county recorder's office. The package was rejected because it did not include a valid deed. But the submission triggered the property fraud alert Ruth registered in advance. Did the title company receive the same documents? Yes. It is holding an uncleared sale transaction. Helena opened the case and removed a sealed envelope. On the front, in Grandma's old handwriting, were the words, "For Claire, when they say I no longer know what I want." I stared at the sentence. It belonged to the woman who had once remembered every electric bill and every harvest date. "Where has the book been?" I asked. Ruth placed it in my office vault when she completed her estate plan. She instructed me to return it to you only if the property alert was triggered. June handed me the red book. A small key had been taped inside the back cover. "Come to my office at 9 tomorrow," Helena said. "Bring the book and the key. Do not discuss this with Elaine, Peter, Ryan, or Kendra Shaw." "Why Kendra?" "She is the real estate agent involved in the transaction, and she witnessed a financial power of attorney Ruth signed while hospitalized." The hallway seemed to grow colder. After they left, Grandma stirred in the chair. "Was that the apple delivery?" she asked. "No." "Good. They always stack the baskets too close to the door." The farm had not made wholesale apple deliveries in more than 10 years. That afternoon, while Grandma slept, I opened the book. The first pages held recipes. Apple pie, peach preserves, buttermilk bread, cranberry sauce. Halfway through, the entries became financial: property taxes, insurance, irrigation repairs, lease income from 2 acres of the northern orchard, harvest totals. Then I found a page dated 14 months earlier. At the top, Grandma had written, "What I still know." Below it were 7 lines. "My name is Ruth Ann Bennett. I am 80 years old. I live at 14 Apple Hollow Road. The farm belongs to my trust. I do not want Elaine to sell the land. Peter will call silence keeping the peace. Ryan will need money and call it protecting the family. Claire will understand why dates matter." I had to stop and breathe. The next page documented individual events. May 7, Elaine asked whether I still remembered what the farm was worth. May 22, Ryan asked whether the eastern land could be rezoned for commercial use. June 3, Peter said memory care might take pressure off everyone. June 19, Kendra photographed the kitchen and orchard without permission. July 2, Ryan asked where I kept the document key. July 28, I moved the papers. August 6, I met Helena. August 11, I signed the documents while I was still myself. The final line had been circled in red ink. "Forgetting one day does not give someone else the right to rewrite my entire life." Tucked between 2 pages was a copy of a charitable pledge card for the Hearth and Home Foundation. Grandma's name was signed at the bottom. Beside it she had written, "Elaine keeps scanned copies of these cards." I did not yet understand why she had saved it. But I remembered. The next morning, at Helena's office, 3 folders were waiting on the conference table. She opened the first. Inside was a certified copy of a recorded deed. The entire property at 14 Apple Hollow Road had been transferred into the Ruth A. Bennett Revocable Living Trust the previous year. Grandma remained the initial trustee. Under the trust terms, I would become successor trustee once her treating neurologist confirmed in writing that she could no longer manage complex property. My mother had not been named. My father had not been named. Ryan had not been named. "Has that confirmation been issued?" I asked. "Dr. Naomi Carter evaluated Ruth last week at Elaine's request. Your mother restricted distribution of the result. I submitted a formal request under the authorization Ruth signed earlier. So I don't control the trust yet." "Not yet. Then who does?" "Legally, Ruth remains trustee. Practically, her current condition makes complex decisions unsafe. Your family appears to be exploiting that gap." Helena opened the letter from the envelope. "Claire, if you are reading this, I have started forgetting faster than I can hide it. I chose you because you never confused loving someone with deciding for them. Your mother loves the image of herself as someone who rescues others. Your father loves peace, even when the weaker person must pay for that peace. Ryan likes being called a builder, even when the materials belong to someone else. You believe in evidence. Use it. Do not let them say I wanted what they wanted. Do not let them turn my illness into consent. And do not let them cut down the East Apple tree. Your grandfather planted it the year your mother was born. Love, Grandma." The second folder contained a durable financial power of attorney and an advance healthcare directive, both signed on August 11 of the previous year. Both named me. Both had two independent witnesses. Both had been notarized by June. Attached was Dr. Carter's evaluation confirming that, at the time of signing, Grandma understood her property, her family relationships, the purpose of the documents, and the consequences of her decisions. The third folder contained a newer power of attorney. It had been signed less than a month earlier while Grandma was hospitalized with pneumonia, dehydration, and acute delirium. It named my mother. Kendra Shaw had signed as a witness. A traveling notary named Malcolm Price had notarized it. I remembered that week. Grandma called me close to midnight and asked why the nurses had planted apple trees inside her room. Helena pointed to the key. Ruth left instructions for a fireproof box hidden beneath a false drawer in the pantry. We returned to the farm. The key opened a small metal box. Inside were bank statements, tax records, an appraisal valuing the farm at $884,000, copies of the trust documents, and a digital recorder. A piece of tape had been placed across it. Grandma had written, "If they say I agreed." Helena copied the files in a way that preserved the originals. The first recordings were ordinary reminders. Buy yeast. Call the fence repairman. Ask Claire about account alerts. Then came conversations. My mother discussing memory care. Ryan asking whether the farm carried any debt. My father saying, maybe we should not tell Claire yet. One file had been recorded on the same day the new power of attorney was signed. My mother's voice came first. Mom, this only lets me help with the bills. Grandma's voice was weak. I already signed papers with Helena. These replace those. I want Claire. Claire's in Richmond. I want Claire. Ryan spoke next. Grandma, we're trying to keep the farm in the family. Sign where Kendra points. There was a long silence. Then Grandma said, "Why is it raining inside the room?" My mother lowered her voice. "There isn't any rain, Mom. Sign this, and you can sleep." Paper moved. Kendra said, "Write on this line, Mrs. Bennett." Then my father's voice. Very quiet. "Elaine, she isn't lucid." My mother answered immediately. "This is our only chance." The recording ended. That was the moment my family changed in my eyes. Not when I learned there was a buyer. Not when I saw the power of attorney. It was when I heard my father recognize what was wrong and remain in the room while it happened. Helena had already contacted Monica Hale, the title officer at Cedar Glen Title and Escrow. The sale had not been cleared because the farm was still owned by the trust. My mother had signed the sales contract using the newer power of attorney. Kendra had also submitted a certificate claiming Grandma Ruth had terminated the trust. But there was no deed transferring the land out of it. The county recorder had rejected the filing. The title company had also placed the transaction on hold. My mother's side continued, insisting they would provide a corrective deed before the original closing date. Signed by Grandma? I asked. That is what they are claiming. Grandma did not currently have the capacity to execute a complex deed. They either intended to pressure her again or create another signature. I spent the next day doing the work my family had mocked for years. I followed the public records. Ryan had opened 3 wedding venues and 2 tasting rooms in less than 2 years. The expansion had been financed by investors, commercial loans, and a short-term bridge loan that he personally guaranteed. 2 contractors had filed liens for non-payment. An event audio company was suing him for $164,000. A notice of default showed that Ryan owed $836,000 by October 4. The farm sale was scheduled for October 1. 3 days earlier. Then I found the transfer. 18 days after the hospital power of attorney was signed, $117,000 had been transferred from Grandma's savings account into Mercer Vineyards and Events. The description read, "Temporary family support." There was no contract, no interest rate, no repayment schedule, no separate authorization from Grandma. I called Ryan. "You took $117,000 from Grandma. You don't understand the capital structure." "I understand money leaving her account and entering your company. It was authorized by Mom, using a document Grandma signed while delirious. Mom handled the paperwork. You were in the room." He went quiet. "Finally," he said. "I was trying to save 41 jobs. You were trying to save your company. They are the same thing." "No." His voice turned cold. "This is why everyone gets exhausted talking to you. You turn everything into a file. Right or wrong. Yes or no. Families do not operate like banks. Did Grandma agree to give you that money? If she understood the situation, she would have. That was not my question. She has more money than she can still use. The cruelty took a second to fully appear. She is 82, he continued. The farm is too much. She needs full-time care. The money is sitting there while a business supporting dozens of families could collapse. She is a person too. You know what I mean. I know exactly what you mean. He lowered his voice. Selling the land solves everything. Grandma goes to a good facility. Mom and Dad stop running back and forth. The company survives. Everyone benefits. Grandma loses her home. She barely remembers which home she is in. What they truly believed had finally come into the open. They did not only think Grandma was weak, they believed her decline made her rights smaller than their needs. The sale will not happen, I said. Ryan laughed. The contract is signed. The farm belongs to a trust. The silence changed. You're bluffing. Ask Mom. 7 minutes later, my mother called. Claire, what have you done? I asked Ryan about Grandma's money. That was family support. Where is the repayment agreement? Families do not handle everything like businesses. You submitted a power of attorney signed while Grandma was delirious. She had lucid periods. The recording says otherwise. The line went silent. What recording? The one where Grandma asks for me, and you call it your only chance. All warmth disappeared from her voice. Claire, you need to be careful. Your work has trained you to see crime everywhere. I looked at the red book. When the facts turned against my mother, the person presenting them always became the problem. I did not transfer money out of Grandma's account. Ryan is your brother. Ruth is your mother. I understand my own mother better than you do. Then why was she alone on her birthday? We were obligated to attend the opening. She made 6 pies. She does things that no longer make sense. She remembered enough to wait for all of you. You're trying to make me feel guilty. I'm refusing to hide why you should. For the first time in my life, I ended the call before my mother decided it was over. The title company file confirmed the rest. The farm had been listed for $760,000, which was $124,000 below the appraisal. After taxes and fees, the projected net proceeds were $701,800. The wire instructions directed $630,000 to Mercer Hospitality Holdings LLC. Ryan was the sole member. The remaining funds would go into an account called Ruth Senior Care Reserve. My mother was the only authorized signer. They were not planning to use the money for Grandma's care, I said. Only a small portion, Helena replied. Can we seek an emergency court order? Yes. I have already prepared the paperwork. But an administrative freeze through the bank, recorder, and title company will be faster and less disruptive to Ruth. If Elaine tries to move her or submit another document, we file immediately. So is the farm safe? The transaction is frozen. But the other side still claims it has a corrective deed and argues that your succession is invalid. Until the file is formally resolved, they will continue applying pressure. The October 1 meeting was no longer called a closing. Monica changed it to a title resolution conference while keeping the original closing date. The buyer, the agent, my family's side, and the attorneys were told to attend if they wanted to continue defending the transaction. If we cancel now, Mom will call it a technical problem, I said. Yes. And the hospital pressure and money transfer will become separate stories. Yes. I looked at the red book. Keep the meeting. Helena studied me. This is not revenge. No. What is it? A complete record. That afternoon, I reported suspected exploitation to Adult Protective Services. The investigator's name was Tessa Morgan. She listened as I described the hospital signing, the transfer, the below-market sale, and the plan to send most of the proceeds to Ryan. When I finished, she asked, Is Ruth safe right now? Yes. I'm staying with her. Who can remove her from the house? My mother has a newer healthcare directive in the medical file. Your attorney needs to freeze that authority. She is working on it. I'm marking this urgent, Tessa said. You are not overreacting. Dr. Carter's clinic temporarily froze all non-emergency changes while the competing healthcare documents were reviewed. The doctor evaluated Grandma again. Grandma knew her name. She knew the farm. She knew who I was. She knew Ryan needed money. But she could not identify the correct year. She forgot 3 words within 10 minutes. She believed Grandpa was outside in the orchard, then suddenly remembered he had died and cried as though hearing the news for the first time. Dr. Carter concluded that Grandma could no longer execute complex financial documents or independently manage trust property. The report satisfied the condition in the trust. I formally accepted the successor trustee role before June. By the end of the day, the bank, title company, and county recorder had received official notice. The transaction remained frozen. The emergency protective petition was ready if my family attempted to move Grandma or submit another document. On the drive home, Grandma stared through the passenger window. "Did I fail?" she asked. "No. The doctor asked too many questions. She was trying to protect you. I used to be good with numbers." "You still are." She looked down at her hands. "That's a kind lie." I pulled into an overlook facing the fields. Grandma rubbed the seam of her purse. "Did I give Elaine something?" "You signed a document in the hospital." "I don't remember." "I know. If I don't remember, does that mean I wanted it?" "No." She turned toward me. "Don't let them turn my forgetting into consent." "I won't." Her hand found mine. Her grip was weak. Her intention was not. 6 days before the meeting, my mother arrived carrying brochures for 3 memory care facilities. She spread them across the kitchen table as if presenting vacation options. "We need to have a realistic conversation about care. Grandma can receive care at home, only for a while. I can work remotely 3 days a week. We can use her own money to hire caregivers in shifts. For how long? Until her doctor and care team determine it is no longer safe." My mother's eyes stopped on the red book beside my laptop. "Where did you get that?" "Grandma placed it with Helena last year. It contains private family matters." "It contains Grandma's matters." "I saw the wire instructions," I said. Her expression did not change. $630,000 was going to Ryan's company. That was family asset restructuring. Grandma's farm is not an asset to restructure for Ryan. She cannot manage this place anymore. Then we discuss care honestly. We do not take her land to rescue a collapsing company. My mother placed both hands on the table. "Do you understand what happens if Ryan fails? He loses his company. 41 employees could lose their jobs. He has already failed to pay contractors. He made mistakes. He took Grandma's money. He intended to repay it." "With what?" Her voice rose. "The farm is sitting here while everyone else carries the burden." Grandma Ruth appeared in the doorway. One button on her cardigan had been fastened into the wrong hole. "What burden?" she asked. My mother turned immediately. "Nothing, Mom. We're talking about your care." "My care?" "Yes. Am I expensive?" For 1 second, shame appeared on my mother's face. Then she covered it. "Everyone needs support sometimes." Grandma picked up one of the brochures. "Do I live here?" "No." "Does Elaine?" My mother's mouth tightened. "Mom, I'm trying to keep you safe." Grandma studied her daughter. "You always liked moving other people's things where you wanted them." It sounded confused. It was not. After Grandma left, my mother lowered her voice. "You're turning her against me." "I barely said anything." "You sit there looking wounded and make everyone else the villain." "The trust termination document contains a copied signature. You cannot prove I created it." "But Kendra says she received it from you." My mother did not answer. I placed the donation card on the table. "The signature on the termination document matches this one exactly. This card was stored in the Hearth and Home system, where you had access. That does not prove I copied it." "Not yet, but it proves Grandma did not sign the trust termination." My mother pointed at the red book. "You always wanted her to choose you over me." "I wanted you to choose her. She is my mother." "Then act like her daughter." My mother gathered the brochures. "The meeting is still happening." "Yes. I'll prove you manipulated her. Then bring every piece of evidence you have." Her eyes filled with beautiful, controlled tears. "When this family collapses, you will know you caused it." For most of my life, those words would have made me apologize before I even understood what I had supposedly done. This time, I looked at her. "I don't need you to decide my value anymore." She froze. "You spent years making me feel small because small people are easier to move aside," I continued. 5 days before the meeting, my father came alone. He sat across from me at the kitchen table. "I did not know about the $117,000, he said. "You were in the hospital room. I knew about the power of attorney. You heard Grandma asking for me." He rubbed his hands together. "Your mother said involving you would complicate everything. She meant I would notice. Ryan is desperate. Ryan is dishonest. He made bad investments. He took Grandma's money. He said he would repay it." "With what?" My father looked down. He had told himself a comfortable story. Ryan was only temporarily short on money. Selling the farm was practical. Grandma needed care anyway. No one was really stealing. Everyone would eventually be repaid. Elaine thinks Ruth would want to save Ryan, he said. Grandma wrote that she did not. People change their minds. Then why did they need a copied signature? My father went pale. Elaine could be prosecuted. Is that what scares you? She is my wife. Ruth is her mother. Ryan is our son. There it was again. Grandma's value divided among the people who wanted something from her. What do you want me to do? He asked. Tell the truth. To whom? Start with yourself. His phone buzzed. Elaine. He stood. I should go. He did not go upstairs to see Grandma. He returned to the woman whose anger frightened him more than his own shame. 4 days before the meeting, I baked another apple pie. Only one. I placed a candle in the center. Grandma entered the kitchen and stopped. Whose birthday is it? Yours. Again? We didn't do it properly the first time. She sat down. I lit the candle. Make a wish. She closed her eyes and blew it out. What did you wish for? She looked at me for a long moment. You came. Only 2 words. But they broke something open inside me. Grandma measured love differently from the rest of my family. Who came? Who stayed? Who noticed? Who refused to use someone's weakness as permission to take what remained? The next day, Adult Protective Services located an anonymous report from the hospital. The witness was Olivia Parks, a patient care technician. She had seen Grandma ask why leaves were falling from the ceiling. She heard Grandma say she had already signed papers with Helena. She heard my mother say those papers were wrong. She watched Kendra point to the signature line. She heard my father say Grandma was not lucid. Olivia had reported the incident immediately after everyone left, but the hospital did not yet know about the trust, the transfer, or the farm sale. Now she agreed to sign an affidavit and attend the title resolution meeting. My mother's story was no longer the only version in the record. 3 days before the meeting, Monica sent Helena a scanned copy of the trust termination certificate. The signature looked too steady. I placed it beside the donation card tucked inside the red book. The 2 signatures were identical. Not merely similar. Same size. Same ink pattern. Same tiny mark beneath the final letter caused by a paper fiber caught in the scan. A forensic document examiner issued a preliminary opinion that the signatures were digitally identical and could not have been written independently by hand. Kendra gave Helena a copy of an email in which Elaine had attached the trust termination certificate and instructed her to use it for the transaction. The email did not prove Elaine had personally performed the digital copying, but it proved she had introduced the fraudulent document into the sale file. The Red Book did not prove the entire case by itself. It did something more important. It led us to the right document, the right dates, and the exact signature everyone else hoped no one would compare. The night before the meeting, Grandma sat with me at the wooden table beneath the east tree. The air smelled like wet leaves. She took a folded piece of paper from her cardigan. Claire, keep the east tree. Keep yourself. Grandma. I read it twice. When did you write this? I don't remember. I folded it and placed it in my wallet. I'm afraid, I said. Of what? I'm afraid of losing the whole family. Grandma looked toward the house. Maybe she did not understand the entire question, but she placed her hand over mine. That was enough. The next afternoon, Cedar Glen Title and Escrow seated all of us around an oval table. Monica Hale sat at the head. Helena and I sat on one side. Olivia waited in another room with Tessa and the hospital's attorney. My mother entered first in a gray suit, wearing the apple-shaped brooch Grandma Ruth had given her. Ryan followed with a leather portfolio. My father came behind him, pale and silent. Kendra entered next. Arthur Dean, counsel for Red Maple Communities, took the final seat. Monica began. This is a title resolution meeting, not an approved closing. No deed will be accepted and no funds will move unless ownership and authority are established. My mother looked at me. What are you doing here? Taking my seat. There is no seat for you in this transaction. Monica looked at her. That is exactly what we are here to determine. I placed the red book on the table. Ryan recognized it. That belongs to the family. It belongs to Grandma. We are the family. Being related by blood does not mean you acted like family. Helena placed the recorded trust deed before Monica. Then the trust certificate. Then Dr. Carter's written determination. Then my formal acceptance as successor trustee. My mother leaned forward. We have a trust termination certificate signed by Ruth. Helena placed it on the table. Beside it, she placed the old donation card from the Red Book. Then she added the preliminary forensic opinion. The signatures are digitally identical, she said. They were not written independently. Kendra shifted in her chair. I received the document from Elaine. I was told it was valid. My mother turned toward her. You said your office could handle the paperwork. I said I could handle the listing. Helena placed a copy of Elaine's email to Kendra on the table. Arthur Dean read it first. His expression changed. Ryan interrupted. Grandma wanted the trust terminated. Monica looked at him. Then where is the deed transferring the farm out of the trust? Ryan had no answer. Helena placed Grandma's valid power of attorney on the table. Then, the disputed hospital document. Then the medical records showing acute delirium. My mother's voice sharpened. She had lucid periods. Helena pressed play. Grandma's voice filled the room. I already signed papers with Helena. My mother answering. These replace them. I want Claire. Claire is in Richmond. I want Claire. Ryan telling her to sign. Kendra pointing to the line. Grandma asking why it was raining inside. My father saying she was not lucid. My mother answering. This is our only chance. The recording ended. No one moved. A patient care technician witnessed the signing and provided an affidavit, Helena said. She is in the building. Kendra's face went white. I did not understand she was delirious. You were in the room, I said. She could speak. Speech does not equal legal capacity, Helena replied. Ryan pushed his chair back. Can we stop turning this into legal technicalities? Grandma needed help. Mom had to make decisions. Ruth had already made decisions, Helena said. Your family did not like them. Monica looked at the settlement instructions. $630,000 was to be transferred to Mercer Hospitality Holdings. That is a family company, Ryan said. It has one member, I replied. Helena placed the bank statements on the table. $117,000 was already transferred from Ruth's account into Ryan's company. Monica looked at my mother. Where is the agreement? My mother remained silent. Where is Ruth's authorization? Nothing. Where is the repayment schedule? Nothing. Arthur Dean closed his portfolio. I was told this was a clean transaction connected to a care plan. It is, my mother said quickly. My daughter is manufacturing conflict because of personal issues. Arthur looked at the identical signatures. This is not a clean transaction. Ryan turned toward me. You have no idea what you're doing. I know your balloon payment is due October 4th. I know about the liens, the lawsuit, and the missed revenue targets. I know Grandma's money covered payroll and interest. That company supports people. Grandma is a person. She has money she is not using. My mother whispered his name. But fear had already stripped away his restraint. The farm is sitting there, he said. She barely knows where she is. Selling it is logical. The room went silent. Not from surprise. From clarity. He had finally said the cruel thing everyone else had wrapped in the language of care. I opened the red book. I read Grandma's entries. Elaine asking about the land's value. Ryan asking about commercial zoning. Peter suggesting memory care. Kendra photographing the orchard. Grandma moving her documents. Grandma meeting Helena. Grandma creating the trust while she still had capacity. Then I read the line circled in red. Forgetting one day does not give someone else the right to rewrite my entire life. My mother's face tightened. That book proves nothing. It proves Grandma's intent before her condition worsened. It also led us to the copied signature. You have always wanted to turn her against me. No. She came to me because you were acting against her wishes. My father spoke. That's enough. Everyone looked at him. His voice shook. Elaine, that's enough. My mother stared at him. What did you say? I was in the hospital room. Peter. Ruth was delirious. Stop. She asked for Claire. Peter, be quiet. I should have stopped the signing. Ryan stood. Dad. My father looked at him. I should have stopped you too. My mother pushed her chair back. You weak, useless man. He flinched. But he did not retreat. Yes, he said. I was weak. Then he turned toward me. I'm sorry. I did not answer. An apology at a title table could not erase the hospital room. But it placed the truth on the record. Monica reviewed the documents. Then she placed both hands on the table. This transaction cannot proceed. My mother stared at her. This can be corrected. Not in this file. We have a contract. Signed by someone acting under disputed authority over property she did not control. The trust was terminated. The certificate appears fraudulent, and there is no valid deed transferring the property out of the trust. Monica turned toward Arthur. Red Maple Communities cannot receive marketable title. We are closing the file and reporting the suspected document fraud to the title insurer and appropriate authorities. Arthur stood. Red Maple is withdrawing. Ryan's face turned red. You can't. We can, and we are. My company will collapse. Arthur looked at him. That is not our transaction. Helena's voice remained calm. Adult Protective Services has opened an investigation. The bank has frozen further activity. The transfer, fraudulent document, and attempted diversion of the sale proceeds will be referred to the appropriate authorities. My mother began to cry. Not controlled tears. Loud. After everything I have done for this family, I looked at the apple-shaped brooch Grandma Ruth had given her, worn to the meeting where my mother intended to sell Grandma's farm. What did you do for her? I asked. I arranged care. You arranged removal. I carried this family for 36 years. You carried the version that made you necessary. You think you are better than me because you found paperwork? No. I closed the red book. I think I finally stopped letting you determine my value. Her face hardened. When Ryan loses everything, it will be your fault. No, it will be the result of the decisions he made. When this family falls apart, it was already broken before I entered this room. My mother wiped her face. You will regret choosing an old woman who will not remember what you did. That sentence ended something inside me. Not my love for her. That love had been dying for years. It ended my need to make her understand. I will remember, I said. That is enough. I drove back to Apple Hollow with the red book on the passenger seat. The porch light was on. The east apple tree stood in the wind. Inside, Grandma was asleep beside the window. I covered her with a blanket and knelt beside the chair. It's over, I whispered. Her eyes opened slowly. Claire? I'm here. Did we miss the apple harvest? No. Good. Her eyes closed. Then, opened again. The east tree? I laughed and cried at the same time. I kept it. Her fingers curled around mine. Keep yourself too. Justice did not arrive all at once. Ryan missed his balloon payment. The lender accelerated the debt. Investors sued. Mercer Vineyards and Events filed for bankruptcy in January. The Mercedes disappeared first. Then the office. Then the photographs of weddings, wine barrels, and crystal glasses vanished from social media. Ryan eventually took a salaried venue management job. He sent me one email. You could have saved everyone. I replied. You never had the right to spend the rest of her life rescuing your decisions. He did not write again. The bank recovered $52,000 that remained in Ryan's business account before the bankruptcy trustee restricted further transfers. The rest became part of a civil restitution order. The court declared the newer power of attorney invalid and confirmed me as Grandma's guardian and trustee. Adult Protective Services substantiated financial exploitation. My mother's and Ryan's cases were handled separately. My mother entered a no-contest plea involving the use of a fraudulent document and attempted financial exploitation. She received 3 years of supervised probation, was ordered to pay restitution, was permanently barred from managing Grandma Ruth's assets, and could visit only under supervision. Ryan accepted civil responsibility and entered a separate criminal resolution related to receiving property obtained through elder exploitation. He was ordered to pay restitution, complete community service, and stay away from Grandma's accounts, records, and property. Kendra cooperated with the investigation, turned over the emails, and lost her real estate license for 2 years because she participated in the hospital signing despite obvious questions about Grandma's mental state. The Hearth and Home Foundation opened an ethics investigation after learning that a document from its system had been used as the source of the copied signature. My mother resigned before the investigation ended. Her reputation did not collapse in one dramatic moment. It thinned. Speaking invitations disappeared. Donors stopped calling. People no longer trusted her with private stories. My parents separated the following spring. My father rented a small apartment in Cedar Glen and began visiting Grandma once a week. At first, I stayed in the room. Later, when he proved he could sit with her without talking about money, guilt, or forgiveness, I gave them privacy. He repaired the barn door. He oiled the wooden table. He tied up a damaged branch on the east tree. He apologized to Grandma many times. Sometimes she understood. Sometimes, she asked who he was. My father learned that remorse does not control the response it receives. I did not care for Grandma alone. We used her own money to hire 2 daytime caregivers who worked in shifts and a night nurse 4 evenings a week. I worked remotely 3 days a week. We installed door sensors, stove locks, stair rails, and an emergency call system. Dr. Carter evaluated her regularly. Every decision was documented. Not because I wanted to turn the farmhouse into a hospital, because staying home only mattered if Grandma was truly safe. Justice did not cure her. It did not restore the memories already lost. But it gave her the familiar kitchen, the orchard, the wooden table, the East tree, the smell of cinnamon in the morning, the right to lose her memory without losing everything else. And it gave me something I had waited 35 years for my family to provide: permission to trust myself. The following September, Grandma turned 83. We did not set 6 plates. We set 4. 1 for Grandma, 1 for me, 1 for my father, 1 for Olivia Parks. Helena arrived later with flowers. Tessa sent a card. Grandma did not bake. I made 6 small apple pies using the recipe in the red book. 2 cracked. 1 had too much cinnamon. The crusts were uneven. Grandma examined them carefully. I used to make prettier ones. You did? Is this your first time? No. Then you should be worried. We laughed. After dinner, we carried the pies outside to the table beneath the East tree. The sunset turned the orchard copper. Grandma ate 2 bites. My recipe, she said. Yes. Don't change it. I won't. She looked toward the farmhouse. Do I live here? Yes. For long. 56 years. That sounds expensive. It was worth it. She nodded. Then she rested her head on my shoulder. Inside, my father washed the pie dishes. Olivia spoke with Helena near the kitchen door. The farm was no longer silent. It was not untouched either. It held betrayal, a hospital recording, a copy signature, a cancelled sale, a family that broke when the truth was placed on the table. But it also held witnesses, people who came, people who stayed, people who understood that a woman's value does not disappear when her memory begins to leave. Grandma closed her eyes. Did you keep it? She asked. The East tree? She shook her head. You. I looked at her. Yes, I said. I kept myself. A small smile appeared. Good. That was the sweetest victory. Not Ryan's bankruptcy. Not my mother losing the image she had protected more fiercely than her own mother. Not the cancelled transaction. The victory was that I no longer needed their approval to understand my worth. Strength is not always loud. Sometimes it is an elderly woman recording the correct dates before her hands forget how to write. Sometimes it is a granddaughter reading the lines everyone else hoped no one would check. Sometimes it is simply refusing to surrender a home, an orchard, a boundary, or yourself because the people hurting you call their demands family. That is my story. A birthday table with 6 apple pies and only one person waiting. A red, cloth-bound recipe book. An attempted theft hidden beneath the language of care. And one woman who remembered early enough to protect the life she had built with her own hands. If this story made you think, tell me this. Does Peter deserve Claire's forgiveness after knowing Grandma Ruth was being pressured and still choosing to stay silent? Like this story, and subscribe to Calm Deception Stories for more quiet battles, where betrayal is exposed, dignity is restored, and the truth always gets the final word.